third graders, and welcome to your video for Wednesday, November 11th, and today is Veterans Day, so if you have a veteran in your family, thank them for their service. Now today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be reviewing everything we've learned up to this point as far as labeling. Now what I'm going to be doing in this video is training you on how to teach your moms and dads about this. Now, I warned you early in the school year that it would only take a couple of weeks, maybe a month or so, before you would know more grammar than your parents did. And I think we've reached that point. And so some of the parents are a little nervous that you know more than they do. And so I think it's time to let them in on all of our secrets. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to go through all that we've learned and all of the labeling that's involved. And then what you get to do is you get to be assistant teachers. And you are actually going to sit down with your parents and do the grammar lesson with them. And so you can actually use this PowerPoint. I'll put it up on Facebook and you can actually talk through with them. Or you can actually assist by just having them watch this and then help them if they need help. So we're going to begin by talking about some of the things that we are learning. And so we're going to prepare to teach our moms, like I just said. And this is your training, so you're becoming teacher assistants after today. Now they're going to learn the following things. They are going to begin to learn, let me just move this over here a little bit. They are going to begin by learning the subject, noun, and the verb. Now, if you remember, we want to read the sentence first. So make sure you tell them to read the sentence out loud. So we're going to read, the dog barked. Now, if you remember, we have to ask some questions in order to work through these sentences efficiently. So we want to ask the question, who barked? Now if we can ask and answer that question, then we want to put SN, right here's SN, which is subject, noun. It's a noun and it's the subject. And we want to put SN above dog, just like that. Now we also want to keep asking some questions, and so we want to ask, what did the dog do? Because here we want to find our action. And when you find this, you are going to put a V above barked, because we know that the dog barked. Now, we also want to identify all of our articles. Let's see if I can get my cursor down here. A, and the are articles. And we're going to put A right above the word the for article adjective. Okay. So I assume that we understand how to find the subjects and the nouns, or the subject, noun, and the verb in all of our sentences. And if you don't, then maybe go back and review before you spend time teaching your parents how to do this. Now let's move on to some other things. And once again, I'm going to move myself down here. So we want to add adjectives and adverbs now. So we're going to read the sentence just like we've always done. And the sentence is, the beautiful kittens meowed loudly. Now we would ask, who is meowing loudly? And we would discover that it's kittens. So kittens gets an SN over top of it, subject, noun. The next question we want to ask is, what are the kittens doing? And I'm sorry that my face is in the words. What are the kittens doing? And we want to mark a V above that. Now next, we're going to move on, and I'm just going to move myself up out of the way for a minute. We want to ask, what kind of kittens? And at the same time, we want to look for article adjectives. And if we can answer what kind of kittens, then we have an adjective. So whatever your subject is, you want to look for that word and you want to see if there's anything that tells us what kind of, or how many, Numbers would also fall in that category. And while we're looking for those adjectives, we want to find any other article adjectives. Now let's move on to our next one. And we also want to look for any adverbs in our sentence. Now I will tell you a little secret. Most ly words are adverbs. And they're going to pop up again in our IEW writing, so remember those. But if we can ask the question how, when, or where the kittens meowed, and if we can answer that, we will have an adverb. So we've started working with our adverbs and our adjectives a little bit, but we'll be working more heavily with those in the coming weeks. Now, before we move on from our verbs and our adverbs and adjectives, I want to throw in a little curveball here. Helping verbs. Those popped up this week. And if we see these little tiny boring words, is, are, was, were, have, has, had, if we happen to see those pop up in our sentences, then they are going to either be a verb or they're going to be helping another verb. So let's take a look at this sentence. Mom has planted in the garden. And we have here, who planted? That was Mom. That's our subject noun. What did Mom do? Well, Mom planted. And there's a verb. But we have this little word here, and when you get up 7th and 8th grade, you're going to learn about those more. But it's in this list of these little boring verbs. And here, it's going to be helping. Mom has planted in the garden. Now, we're going to get to this here in just a second. But remember that those are HV, helping verbs. Here's our H, here's our V. Okay, let's move to what I call the hard part, but I don't think the kids think this is hard. Prepositional phrases. Again, we're going to read the sentence. We're going to mark it with our subject noun, our verb, adjectives, adverbs, but then we have these questions we're going to ask at the end. So the first thing, the cow jumped over the moon, and we have to ask the question, who jumped over the moon? And we would answer the cow. Now, in the interest of time, I also put the verb in here. What did the cow do? The cow jumped. I also identified an article adjective, but I didn't see any other words that would help the noun or the verb. Nothing that describes the noun or tells me more about the verb. But I do have these words at the end of the sentence. Now, a lot of students will try to put another subject noun in there because they see a noun right here, or they try to make this an adverb. But we have learned that we must look at the prepositional list, and that prepositional list is your jingle. Preposition, preposition, starting with an A. So it's important to have that out so that you can see it while you are labeling your sentences. And you're going to want to scroll down that list and you will discover that over is on that list. So we know that we have a preposition. That means that we're going to have a prepositional phrase. Rarely will you have a preposition without the phrase, because if you try to put a preposition in without the phrase, then the sentence is going to sound a little incomplete. So what we do when we have a prepositional phrase is that we label the first word that we found in the list. We label that preposition, P. The word the is always the article adjective, and then finally the last word should be a noun and it will be the object of the preposition. So here we have over with the P above it, the article adjective. Now there could be other adjectives in here. We could have said over the big bright moon, and you would have had two adjectives that you would have had to have marked. But then moon is the object of the preposition. It's always a noun. But then we have to put, I call these smiley faces, around the prepositional phrase. But we put the parentheses around to set those out. Now this is important because when the kids get to 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, they're going to begin to diagram these sentences. So kids, kind of keep your ears open. And the first thing we have to do is get rid of the prepositional phrases. So if they are in the habit of setting those apart with the preposition or with the parentheses, then they'll be ready when they get to that diagramming part. So this is how everything is labeled for our prepositional phrases. Some other labels. Let me move myself down a little bit to be out of the way. If a pronoun is the subject, it will be marked SPN, subject pronoun. If a noun is used in a possessive way, it will be a possessive noun adjective. And let me give you that example. Mom's book fell off the table. Well, mom's, it means it belongs to her, so that's possessive. Mom is a noun. And this also, if there's an apostrophe, it's likely an adjective. Mom's book. The subject noun is book. The verb is fell. And then here we have a prepositional phrase. But this one is a new one that the kids have learned, but it's hard to remember all these words. Possessive, noun, adjective, P and A. There's another one. And that one, if a pronoun is used in a possessive way, it will be a possessive pronoun adjective. So down here we have her book fell off the table. Well, this is a pronoun. It's possessive, belongs to her. It's a pronoun. Her, him, he, it, all of those are pronouns. And it's still an adjective because it's telling us who the book belongs to. So those are some new ones. And you are going to find all of these on a handout that highlights all of the different labels. Now, I believe that there is a similar handout in the book of the references, but I thought it would be nice to actually have something up on Sycamore that's easy reference and easy, a little bit easier to find. So kids, hopefully you are proficient with all of this and you can now explain it to your moms. Like I said, feel free to use the PowerPoint, or you can let them listen to the video if they're struggling with the labeling. But this is a nice little review, and along with this review, I am going to put a little worksheet up on Sycamore, and for those of you who turn that worksheet in, finish it and turn it, it will just be 5 sentences. But if you complete that and turn it in, then I will give you a new clue word. So if you're listening to this video, let me just review with you. We've had 2 clue words. And remember, you are trying to think of what Mrs. Jernigan might have in her mind. And I've given you 2 clue words. The first one was box. Think about an old cardboard box. The second one was pine. So box and pine are our 2 clue words so far. So we're going to keep doing our clue words. If you've missed those, this was an excellent opportunity for you to catch up on them. But if you finish those sentences and bring them back, I will write the clue word on that worksheet. So be looking for those on Sycamore. Finish it up, bring it in by Monday, and we will have a new clue word. So you guys have a good weekend, and I will see you Monday.